One guy says he has one M5, and another guy says he has two M5s. And I'm sure there's a guy out there that says he's got 15 M5s, and I know nothing about cars. Welcome back to our channel. I am Jack, and today I wanted to discuss cars, and specifically the E60 M5. And the reason why is because I ran my mouth off on Instagram, and I got myself in trouble with some BMW fanboys who swarmed me in the social media parking lot, as it were. Cars and Bids had posted a very clean example of a V10 6-speed E60 M5. Not my cup of tea. And I said ticking time bomb. A little unfair, I suppose. Without backing up why I thought so, or, you know, some of the foibles with it. So I thought, you know what, this is a good idea, good call for a video. Because, well, as these guys pointed out, it's like all it takes is preventative maintenance. One guy says he has one M5, and another guy says he has two M5s. And I'm sure there's a guy out there that says he's got 15 M5s, and I know nothing about cars. So apparently I should be going back to playing with Lego, so watch out for that. I guess that's what I'm going to be doing. Now, I think the E39 M5 is one of the most beautiful cars that has ever been designed. It's just a gorgeous car. The lines are fantastic, and for me, it's right up there with 2006 Aston Martin Vantage. It's beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous car. And it's a driver's car too. You know, you can't go wrong with manual transmission sports sedan. The Bengal era cars, I'm not a very big fan of though, and that includes the E60 M5. They just have awkward styling. I'm not a very big fan of that. But, you know, I gotta say, V10 and a sports sedan with a manual transmission, what's not to love about that, right? That just sounds like heaven. That sounds great. I've heard plenty of those with exhaust on them, and they sound terrific. But there are some things to consider. The one that was posted was a V10 6-speed. And it seemed to be a very clean model. Now, properly maintained, that thing could probably last quite a few years. You got to keep up on certain things, though, and it can be a little bit expensive. I mean, it is a high-performance car. It's got a V10, and it takes very specialized tools and knowledge to generally work on those things. BMWs generally have leaking issues. I mean, that's it's like they're designed to leak or something. And head gaskets, valve-covered gaskets. Now that generation, actually a lot of generations to this day, they tend to have issues with timing chain guides, failing because they're made of plastic, and then they do bad things to the engine. The automatic transmission that was offered with the V10, there was something wrong, something with that would fail, that would be very expensive and pricey. You have two ECUs to manage the one V10 engine for some freaking reason. I don't really understand why. What happens if one of them goes bad? Now you have a 5-cylinder? I don't know. So then also you got Vanos system issues. But one user, pointed out that all it takes is preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance solves all your problems. And he says he takes good care of his BMW M5. Okay, great. Good job. Now, I think most people, though, live in a reality. They either think, the people like him either think that everybody's got to take care of their M5, right? And they know this, right? They should know if they own one. Well, not everybody is a, responsible car owner. I think the car wizard, or Johnny the car ninja, would probably tell anybody that a lot of cars that they come in have been beat to hell. People drive a lot of these cars into the ground. They just absolutely flog cars. They don't do preventative maintenance. They don't do there's a lot of deferred maintenance involved with the ownership of basically any car. But I just watched a video from the car wizard who was just talking about the fact that there's two different kinds of you either have cars that have been maintained and it doesn't matter what the cost was. And that's the point. That's the key thing, operative there is cost. Doesn't matter what the cost is. It's been maintained properly from the day one, and it functions perfectly with high miles. And then there's other cars where I have low miles, but have been sitting for a long time, or tons of deferred maintenance. And so things pile up and compound, and next thing you're fighting wildfires the whole time. You fix one thing, boom, something else breaks. Fix that, boom, something else breaks. Now, just because there's some of these BMW enthusiasts, and there are that know how to take care of their car and have the money to do so, doesn't mean that there's for every one or two of those that there isn't like 7 or 8 guys who just want the M5. Oh, I want to have that V10 or the V8, M5, and I want to look cool, and I got this car, and then check engine light comes on, or the other Christmas tree lights in the idiot box dashboard here comes on, and then they don't think, oh no, I'll handle that later, or maybe they don't have the money for it. A lot of people get these cars for cheap, because they are cheap, because of depreciation, and then they just say, I'm just going to drive it into the ground, and then unload it on the next unsuspecting victim, right when things start to go awry. Or, they just don't, they either just don't care, or they can't afford to. It comes down to they got this fantasy that they're going to have this M5, and it's going to be great, and then something breaks, and it's like, no, that's a $2,000 bill, and they're like, I ain't got that, or I don't want to pay for that, so they don't. There's a deferred maintenance, and then they drive it for a while, and things kind of add up and compound. I mean, all you have to look at is how many times have you seen on Hoovie's channel? He had M5s, he had Alpinas, he had all these BMWs that are all piles of junk, because a lot of it was deferred maintenance. People beat the crap out of the cars. They're hoopties. So, is it unfair for me to say that ticking time bomb? Yes and no. It's unfair for me not to say why, but it's unfair for me to say that it necessarily is, because you don't know the history of that car in general. Now, some, like these guys that came, and defended the, BMW M5 were pointing out, I was like, well, you got to care for the car properly. It's like, duh. But a lot of people don't. People are, like I said, people are lazy. People are cheap. People don't want to put the time or money into it. They either aren't financially able, or they're cheap, or they're lazy. So people just don't care. And just because some guy's got an M5 and he takes great care of it, doesn't mean there's other people that don't. And like another guy, he said, well, I got 2 and I take care of them great. Good for you. I'm sure there'll be another guy that'll dogpile and say, well, I got 6 of them and I take care of them perfectly, and they all run like tops. It's like, great, wonderful. I'm glad you got the money to, if you have the money to upkeep. And that's the other thing. A high performance car requires more. And a BMW. Hey, look, when you get up to a premium cars, or exotic car, the more bells and whistles, or the more features, or the more horsepower, or the more, you start piling more stuff on the car, making it, more complex. The higher the complexity of anything, the greater likelihood of something to fail. I mean, BMWs are pretty complex. I mean, they're over-engineered cars. Sometimes they're engineered, with some quirks that make them, susceptible to doing certain things. Whether or not a BMW enthusiast will admit it or not, it is what it is. I mean, look at how many, Ferraris are very finicky about certain things. Lamborghinis are finicky about other things. BMWs, Mercedes, they're all finicky about different things. And they require, a certain amount of knowledge and expertise to work on. The newer ones especially. The older ones are, they're more analog, and you can work, a normal mechanic can work on them. I got some neighbors down the road, they have guys, they got like 3 BMWs. They all run. Some take longer to start than others, but they all run, but they're all older. And I can tell that all the guys, they work on them. They know them work, but they're older ones. Newer ones, they take R2D2 to work on. So you're going to have a little bit more responsibility and knowledge that, hey, you know what you're getting into. It's going to be a little bit more expensive for a cost of ownership. It's going to require more intensive maintenance. You know, it's going to, you have to keep up on certain things. You have to watch out for others. You have to, you know, take it to people who know what the hell they're doing with these cars. So some people can do it. So I applaud the people that can. I mean, you got to respect the machine. You got to respect the machine and have responsibility for that machine. And it's a driver's car. You respect it, it'll respect you. And do I have one? Will I ever buy one? No. I know my place. I'm not willing to step into that ring. I also don't think I want to afford it. I have 3 paid off vehicles, two cars and a bike, all paid off. I don't want to take on that sort of thing. Just because I love cars and just because I have a passion for cars doesn't mean I really want to step into that. I don't want to. I've had a sports car in the past, and it was kind of a disaster because it was very expensive to maintain. The more complex, the more problems. So all the BMW fanboys out there, I doubled down on what I said, but I should have been a little bit more tactful. But just because a couple of you guys out there can work on your cars, or got a car ninja to take it to, or you know what you're doing, or you have the money to do it, well, that doesn't mean all the other people are. A lot of people are lazy, or broke, or both. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it. We'll talk to you again real soon.